Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an absolutely amazing day and that you all are having just as much fun as I am with the new Animal Crossing update and DLC. In today's video, I thought I would do a little bit of a speed build of a house I recently decorated. I realized that with the amiibos, you can call in NPCs as well as villagers, so I thought I'd call in one of my favorites, which is Celeste, and I decided to decorate her house, and I can't wait to share it all with you. As always, if you enjoy my content and you'd like to see more, make sure you subscribe and drop a like, and let me know whose house you are most excited to decorate within Happy Home Paradise down in the comments. If you would like to see me do some of these builds live, I do stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/mypastelpast. But let's not let this intro drag in any longer. Let us hop right into the video. I absolutely love Celeste, and I was so excited to finally be able to build a vacation home for them. However, when I first started, I ended up having massive blocks. Like, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I didn't know where I wanted to take this home. I didn't know if I wanted to make it an actual home or an observatory, because I did have that thought rummaging around there for a while. However, I realized I was really limited on the things that I had to use as I haven't finished all of the different builds yet for Happy Home Paradise. So I ended up deciding on going for a more cozy home feel. I messed around with a bunch of wallpaper and I ended up settling on this red floral look. I thought that it was really cute and cozy and warm, and it kind of matched with Celeste because I know that she's red and the walls were red, and I just thought that it went together. And I wasn't necessarily sure if I wanted to just make one big living room or a dining space. So when I typically do builds like this, I will just take as much furniture as I'm like, oh, maybe this will look good or that'll look good, and I will just dump it all out into the room and then mess around with it, which is exactly what I was doing here. I grabbed some kitchen stuff, I grabbed some storage stuff, and just went to town to see what might work, what I might like, what I might not like, and just experimented with it all. I ended up deciding that I needed a little bit of a bigger space because I wanted to do a kitchen area and a living room area, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do like a dining space as well with it, but I ended up going and making a dining room as well with it. It felt very cramped. When I do builds like this, I'm used to the sim style where I can adjust walls and have it different shapes and angles. So working with a very boxed out and strict grid was very new and different for me. I've done builds in Animal Crossing before, but I still, whenever I do builds, I keep going back to my Sims habits and wanting to move things around. The use of a grid is great for like locking items and kind of seeing and measuring where they are. But for me personally, I also find it annoying because sometimes I'm like, I just want it a millimeter to the side or just slightly tilted. And unfortunately, we can't do that in Animal Crossing. I would have loved to put the chairs at a slight angle, but they are locked in the way that they are. I was thinking of maybe going for lighter wood, which is why I kept all of the furniture customized, and then I ended up wanting to change it and go for the brown. As much as I love the gold on the elegant chair, I didn't think that gold would work, so I ended up going for brown and with the black pattern on it. I thought that it suited a lot more. I wanted a little bit of, I don't know if dark academia would be the proper word for it, but that's the kind of vibe that it gave me. I wanted cozy mixed with elegance. I do wish I had a different fireplace, but I settled for the brick. Here I was really torn. Coffee tables, to me at the very least, are super important when trying to make a living room work because you want it to be functional and practical, but also look well with the style of the living room itself. But I noticed that finding a brown that worked with all of the other furniture colors was really, really difficult, and it bugs me. Even when this build is finished, it bugs me that the ranch kitchen set is a different shade of brown than the bookshelves and the little table that I have in between the chairs. Same with the coffee table. It's just there's so many different shades of brown, And as much as I love mixing the different furniture themes together, it bugs me that there are so many different shades of brown. I was a little torn on whether or not I wanted to put a table in between the chairs or some plants, but I ended up settling on a table in the end. It just worked better. The only flowers that I really thought would work there were the cherry blossoms, and unfortunately they were far too big to put in. Another thing I miss from Sims, being able to shrink and make items bigger, because we all love to have that little detail in there for customizing the size. I also wanted to have it like fairly spaced out. With the new update, we're able to now kind of side shuffle through cramped spaces, which I am so excited for. That helps me so much in my own home back on my island, and I was trying to incorporate that here. I realized it just wasn't working with the table and the chair, so I had to space it out more. And then I definitely wanted a rug, and I went back and forth between the beige and the red. I thought the red might be nice, but when I looked at it with the red walls and the dark furniture, it seemed like a little bit too much. But I really like these two rugs that I chose here. The beige, I want to say it's the elegant rug, I think is really nice. The lightness of the color of that rug really complements the rest of the furniture, I think, in a really nice way. And then from that, I kind of had the base of my living room done, so I moved on and started working on the dining room. And with the dining room, I found that I struggled a lot because of the size of the space again. I remember I keep going back referencing The Sims because I love building in The Sims. But I remember that I would have liked to move the one wall to the left of the door just up a little bit, made it a little closer, and maybe moved the far wall where the window is like slightly out more, just made it like a more open space, I guess, give it a little bit more room. But unfortunately we can't do that, so we're kind of stuck. But I knew I wanted to have like a full dining set and a little bit of a shelving unit, so I had to mess around with the space a little bit to see where I wanted to place things and have it spaced out so it still looked good. My biggest fear was making it too cramped and too crowded. I was messing around trying to move chairs out earlier, but I thought it was a little bit too close to the counter that I had. It was too close to the bookshelf, so I had to move that around. And then again, with the rugs, oh my gosh, the rugs, I love the rugs, but they are a huge headache. I just wish that there were more size options. This rug, the polka dots, was the perfect size, but it was the wrong color. And I'm probably going to go back and edit this house in the future when I unlock more stuff. But it was really hard picking and settling on a rug to put under the table because of either the size or the colors. I found the right size, but it wasn't the right color. So eventually I just settled on this white carpet, and I think it's pretty good. I also wasn't sure what I wanted to do behind the living room area, and then I saw the piano and I knew instantly that that is what I wanted to put there. It was a big enough object that it kind of filled the space without having it too cramped, I think. So I think it worked really well. I did mess around with colors. I was thinking of having it as that walnut shade, but I didn't like it. As soon as I saw it, I had to change it back to the black. I think the black classic grand piano is a very sleek design. It's a classic design, and I had to keep it like that. I do really like that the lacy rug. I use that in so many of my builds back on my island, and I want to use it there, but I looked at the whole room and I thought there were just too many rugs. And so now that I've placed kind of like my bulk furniture, I start to go into like the nitty ditty details of my builds. I don't like focusing and just doing all of the decorating and all of the furniture at once. I find that I get too overwhelmed. So I will place my furniture first and then decorate afterwards. And I had so much fun with this. I love all of the new items, the little fruit baskets, the cutting board, which I know isn't new, but it's one of my favorite items to decorate with. And then the food. The food is so fun and exciting. The bread basket, I absolutely adore it. There are so many options with the new food that they have in the game, and it blows my mind. When I first opened the game and I looked at all the food options, I just kind of had to sit there and stare and think, oh my goodness, all the different options we can use for it. But in this build in particular, I kind of thought that maybe Celeste would like to bake things, so I would put a little bread basket and some fruit cupcakes. And then on the side table I thought maybe a candle would be nice, some flowers. I know in most of my home, my childhood home growing up, we had a little candle on the buffet table next to our dining table in the dining room. So for some reason, I always feel like I have to add a candle in there. And then knowing Celeste and knowing that they love the stars, I had to put in some books in there. And you'll see that I kind of carried that theme with the books and the knowledge into the room upstairs, which I will show in part 2 to this video. I realized while editing this that it was far too long. It would have been almost an hour if I put both the first and second floor in one. So there is a part 2 to this video that should be coming out in the next few days. But now we're off to the living room area. I used, again, the elegant lamp, put it next to the chairs, carried over with the same black and brown pattern. And then I thought to put a TV on top of the fireplace instead of a photo. I typically like putting photos up there, but I remember that there weren't very many big frames. That was my biggest issue. For my previous builds, I always like putting really big frames on top of mantles, but unfortunately, I didn't think that there were any that worked, so I used a TV instead. I still think it's pretty and nice, so it worked out well. But yeah. I don't remember what I'm looking for here, but I'm clearly searching for something in particular. Oh yes, there was the bird cage. I originally wanted to put a lamp there, but again, the floor lamps did not match with the look of the room. And I wanted something else that was a little bit taller to put in that corner so it wasn't so barren. I could have put another plant, but I already had a plant next to the bookshelf, so I didn't want to put another one there and make it too overgrown and too green. So I ended up going with the bird cage and some magazines, because I thought if you're sitting there by the fire, you might be reading, put a little bit of that little magazine rack. I think it's an absolutely adorable item. I love using it in my builds. And then finally, having to use the wall-mounted items. This little shelf with the bottles is absolutely adorable, and I love them, but unfortunately it didn't really work with the build I was doing, so then I started experimenting. I really like these, the floral swag, I guess they call it in the game. In my mind, they're just dried flowers. So I thought maybe that at first, and it didn't work. And then I remembered the wall planters, and I immediately thought of the one image we saw from the direct where they had the two planters kind of on top of each other and at an angle. So I wanted to kind of recreate that and give that little bit of greenery within the kitchen. So I did that, but I also still wanted to use the swag, and they had this garland version of it. So I took the colorful, customized swag and put it on top of the sink. And then knowing Celeste and their love for stars, I had to use the twinkling painting, as well as the sinking painting I believe I used in the end for the other side. I think that they're both amazing. I wish they were a little bit bigger, because it does feel odd to have such small paintings on such large chunks of the wall, but I think it worked out in the end. I ended up having a clock and a little bit of phone added to the wall as well, and that completed the build. I absolutely love how this first floor turned out. I wasn't sure what I wanted to name it. I ended up going with Cozy. I am terrible at naming things, so if you have any suggestions for names for Celeste's home, please let me know in the comments below. But with this build, we're finally able to see the little, I guess, teaser is, I don't know if that's the right word, that the game does for this, but it shows like the build at different angles, and I absolutely love it. It makes my job easier, then I don't have to go in with the camera and do it. But I think it is so cute seeing the different angles and seeing Celeste interact with all the different items in the house, and it just, chef's kiss. I think it brings the whole look together. I realize now that I didn't include adding the light fixtures at the end of the build. I did that after I finished filming, so I did end up putting in two lights, one with the stained glass and one with the candles, just to kind of again give it that dynamic feel now that we are able to put things from the ceiling. And I think that it is absolutely adorable. But this is the completed first floor of Celeste's home. Oh my gosh, she's going and sitting at the piano. So cute. We love to see her interacting with her home. But I hope you enjoyed this build. I will be uploading part 2 to this build, which will showcase Celeste's study and bedroom on the 2nd floor of her house later on this week. So if you would like to see that, make sure you hit subscribe and that little bell so you're notified when my next video goes up. Thank you so much all for watching. Again, if you like my content and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe, or if you want to see me do these builds live, I do stream regularly on my Twitch, so go check that out, twitch.tv/mypastelpast. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye!